Afternoon everybody, and welcome back to Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park for the next in our instalment of Facebook Live videos. We are carrying on our world tour today, and we are finally finished with Madagascar after a good few weeks on the island of Madagascar. And we have moved across back onto mainland Africa to come to South Africa to have a look at our blue cranes. So yeah, my name's Gareth. Please feel free to send in any questions or comments you might have. I'll do my best to answer them, otherwise I will just try to tell you a little bit about these birds. Right then, so we have two blue cranes here at the wildlife park. We have a male and a female, neither of which are named, I do believe. Probably should come up with names for them. So our female, who I believe is the one at the front here, closest to us, she is now 25 years old. The male, I couldn't actually find any more detailed information on our male. So yeah, I'm not sure of how old he is. He came to us a few years ago to pair up with our female after our previous male died. So I think he is a bit younger. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure of an exact age for him. But yeah, the female here is 25 years old. So yeah, like I say, we've got a pair of blue cranes here, and blue cranes in the wild are found in southern Africa. So the majority of the population live in South Africa. I think you do get a couple of other populations through Namibia, and then there are some, I think, in Eswatini and maybe Lesotho as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. But yeah, they are mainly found in South Africa. Hi Tim, hope you're okay today. It's good to meet you last week. No, nice to have a chat with you. Thanks for tuning in as ever. So yeah, these guys are found in South Africa. They generally live in kind of grasslands and savanna areas that have got access to kind of wetland areas. But yeah, they are mainly found on the grasslands and open savanna and things like that down in southern Africa. Hello madam, you gonna come and say hello? I don't fully trust you, I'll be honest. So yeah, like I say, we've got these guys are found on the grasslands and things like that. They will mainly feed actually on grasses and sedges and things like that. They will also feed on invertebrate prey, anything they can get their beaks on, really. So yeah, here at the park we feed them a special crane diet, along with a little bit of fish. Actually, we do give them a bit of fish. They would opportunistically have a little bit of fish whenever they venture into wetland areas and things like that. So yeah, not a massively varied diet, but they do have a couple of little bits and bobs. I'm glad you had a good time last week, Tim. So these guys are, well, they're probably around about 1.3 meters or so. These birds, like I said, well, as the name suggests, they are cranes, blue cranes, but they are on the small side for the crane species. They're not the smallest species of crane, but they are one of the smaller species. Generally get up to between 1.2 and 1.5 meters in height. So yeah, these guys are fairly small for cranes. You do get smaller crane species such as the demoiselle, but yeah, these guys, these guys are probably around about 1.2, 1.3 meters tall. They have the smallest range of any of the crane species. They are migratory with like the majority of crane species, but it's not a very large migration route. They do stay in South Africa, unlike other crane species which will travel across a continent. These guys will travel fairly short distances, so they do have the smallest range of any of the crane species. They are classed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, so they are in a bit of trouble out in the wild. Human interaction, as ever, is the main reason for their loss. The grasslands are being converted for agriculture and for different crops and planting and things like that. So these guys aren't quite as keen. Our female's just gone to show off at the window to some visitors, so we'll have a look at the male for a little bit. Whereas, where was I? Yes, so their habitats are being destroyed for kind of agriculture and things like that, which is a shame. I'm going to have a look at the male just because the female's in a bit of an awkward spot and the male's decided to come back towards the back of the enclosure. Oh, hello. You come and say hello. All right. No, so I think, Tim, I think the mechanical cranes were named after actual cranes. I think it's that way around. Not 100% sure on that, but I think that's the way around that it goes. Yeah, I think the population size for these guys is around about 26,000 out in the wild. So yeah, not the largest of populations, but they're doing okay. They are doing okay. So yeah, they vocalise quite loudly, Helen. They've got a very loud call, which you will hear around the park on occasion. All crane species seem to have this very loud, distinctive call, which they use to kind of communicate with each other and kind of show this is their territory and things like that. So yeah, we can get it where these guys will shout and then they'll set off the red ruffed lemurs, it will set off the spider monkey, so everyone starts shouting then. But it's a very, very loud call for these guys. So this species is also quite important to local people in Southern Africa. They are kind of seen as, not status symbols, but having their feathers in the kind of headdresses and things like that of local people shows that they are quite important people. And like I say, these guys are also the national bird of South Africa. So yeah, they are a very important bird to South Africa and the local people. Some of the local tribes and things like that there. Which makes it even more important to try and do our best to save this species. Main predators would generally be any of the kind of small carnivores, small cats that you'd find in South Africa. I'm sure things like serval would take them. I think jackals would be an issue for them as well. There wasn't too much information on kind of predation of actual adult birds. The eggs of these guys will be taken by a number of different things, including, like I say, jackals, egg-eating snakes, birds of prey, anything like that really. But yeah, the actual adult birds, I'm sure, will opportunistically be taken by certain species. But yeah, these guys, I don't think they're too affected by predators. Just reposition just away from the window. Here we go. In general, they generally lay one egg at a time, but they would then end up with a little clutch of eggs. But yeah, they do lay one at a time. Speaking from experience here, and then they'll build up a small clutch. No, they are lovely birds. Obviously they get their name from the kind of mottled, well, they're not mottled, but the very grey blue feathers and things like that. We haven't had any little ones from these guys. They do lay eggs, but we remove the eggs before they're able to kind of develop. So yeah, we haven't had any little ones from these two. Hi Matt, hope you're okay. Yeah, hope you're doing alright. Hopefully we'll see you soon. Right guys, if you've got any last minute questions, feel free to send them in. Oh, there was a little bit of noise from one of them. But yeah, we'll otherwise we'll carry on in a minute. These guys are okay. The white-necked cranes that we used to have were the not horrible ones, but they're the ones that would go straight for you to try and attack you. The blue cranes are a lot more calm than the white-necked cranes that we used to have. Yeah, they can have their moments, but they're okay. So next week we'll be carrying on the world tour. I think we'll be on to meerkats next week, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I think it's meerkats, and we're back over on mainland Africa. Hopefully go and have a look at our pair of meerkats. They can be quite aggressive, Tim, especially around when they've got eggs and around the nesting area and things like that. They will just basically tell anything and anyone to go away, charge at you, try and peck you and things like that. They've been known to get quite aggressive to even things like tortoises and things like that that come too close to the nest. So yeah, they can be quite aggressive. Thankfully, because they're one of the smaller cranes, they can't do too much damage. So yeah, that's the main thing. Right then guys, we'll call it a day there. So yeah, thank you for tuning in as ever. Hope you've enjoyed meeting our pair of blue cranes. And yeah, we will then continue our video next week. So yeah, cheers for tuning in, and I will see you next week. Thanks guys.